them move to the city-like areas, you will see encounters go up. And I'm sure the day that a wolf runs down the Pearl Street Mall in Boulder, that everybody will be in a fury. So I'm all about recording the encounters, so I will urge a yes vote.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I also rise in full support of this amendment. It's really important that we are able to document wolf encounters at the SMART Act hearing. Certainly, that's the number one topic that's talked about on the Western Slope, because the ballot measure that passed was only west of the Continental Divide. So far, the wolves have not ventured east of the Continental Divide yet, but they probably will very soon. And we now have wolves even in Mesa County, which is my district. They have come through on several occasions. Certainly the conflicts have not maybe been as well documented, but data is certainly coming out about that. We've had encounters all throughout certainly the central mountain region within Colorado, and it is important that that is reported, because those who live on the Western Slope, aside from talking about water, wolves are the number one things that we talk about. And people are afraid of wolves. It's affecting our livelihood. I mean, our farmers and ranchers, but also our hunting industries as well, but also our tourism and outdoor rec industries. I mean, the number of people who definitely are starting to say, I'm not going to go camping unless I have a gun with me, and yet these were not people inclined to buy guns before wolves. And so it is definitely starting to change culture, to change how people think about things, and being able to document those encounters is incredibly important. So I rise in strong support and want to thank the sponsor of this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I, too, rise in support of this amendment. We tend to get fixated lately on the wolves that are being reintroduced, but there are other encounters that do take place outside of those, and I think this amendment covers those as well. Last year didn't make a lot of news outside of the agricultural community, but there was a wolf actually that was caught in a leg trap in Elbert County, found dead, had been trampled by cattle. After DNA testing several months later, it had come from a pack up in the Great Lakes. It was the runt of the litter, had traveled 1,400 miles on his own to come to Colorado just to be stomped on by cows, which was probably a fitting end for a wolf in these parts. And similarly, we had reports of wolves naturally ranging in from Wyoming before any introduction. So I do think it's important that we have a full picture of wolf activity in this state, and this amendment gets to that. So I urge a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in support of keeping up with the encounters of the hellhounds and demon weasels. Sorry, I had to say that. It's late and it was just funny. Ag is the second largest driver of our state, and so we need to know if there are encounters. Majority Leader, you want to stand with me?
Absolutely.
We need to know, Majority Leader,
I'm right here.
if there's public safety problems in our state. There's a human component to this, Majority Leader.
I'm all ears.
And it could happen in Denver? Thornton?
Jeffco.
Jeffco could see some wolves. And
Durant, Jeffco.
Jefferson County, there's hiking trails in Jefferson County. There are hiking trails in Douglas County. I almost forgot where I was from. There are hiking trails all over Colorado, and we need a human component. We need to know. Do you want the pen? You can.
Absolutely.
pen?
Give me something to do.
We need to know if there's a human component involved. And we need to, listen, I like to hike, and my kids like to hunt, and they like to go deep in the woods to hunt elk. And doggone it, I don't want the elk being taken over by the wolves, because my husband gets very upset when there's a lot of hunters anyway, and he doesn't need to compete with the doggone it wolves, the hellhounds and the weasels.
Weasels.
Demon weasels. So we need to have some accountability for those critters. Demon weasels. So listen, JBC, Y'all have said no a lot.
Members, if we could quiet down just a little bit, I'm having trouble hearing Representative Bradley, and I think she's talking about something called demon weevils or something. So-
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will
Representative
talk
Bragg.
louder. Listen, JBC, we need to practice some affirmation. Y'all have said no a lot. We started off on the right foot with repeal, eliminate, repeal, eliminate, repeal. Right now, this costs, zero? I see money. Zero? Zero money. $0. Can we please just have some accountability? Some people like the wolves. I like elk on my dinner table. I like my children to fill my freezer. I like my husband to be happy. He doesn't like this job up here very much. I like him to go hunting and to bring back elk. So can we at least just have the accountability of how many encounters are happening? Yes, let's practice, Duran.
What am I
Yes,
practicing?
yes, yes, yes.
You're doing such a great job yourself.
Okay. Okay, I urge an aye vote. Thank you. Thank you? Yes, thank you.
There you go.
Okay?
Representative Sukla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I seen a wolf over by the art museum just a couple of days ago, so they're already here. The wolves carry a parasite. The parasite could be detrimental to humans. We need to know where they're at. It's a safety issue. So if something does get infected with the parasite, it's a safety issue, and that's why this is a good amendment, and that's why we need to know where they're at. I rise in support of the amendment.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the, just on that parasite issue, we just did, out of abundance of caution, kill 1.8 million chickens. Probably on a PCR test, mostly asymptomatic, in order to somehow save it. So if we're gonna have, yet we're not tracking the encounters, which means we don't really know where they are. So, and we know that the governor got a great deal on wolves because they were cattle killers, so they're probably going to be in those areas. Hiking, biking is going to be a problem as these packs expand because they do hunt in packs, and they're not, I don't think they're so much afraid of people, and somebody on a bike or running is probably just more fun. And of course, we probably ought to know if our wolves are wandering up to places like Wyoming, and because what if the governor's pet wolves are wandering up to Wyoming and we don't even and they're picking on the kids up there in Wyoming and we don't even know about it. So $0, health, safety, recreation. I mean, this is like the best deal you'll get all day. The demon weasels are the Wolverines. Yeah, the small wolves, Wolverine, small wolf. Hellhounds, demon weasels. Maybe. But this is a great deal for the low cost of $0. You get to you get to keep track of the parasite-infested hellhounds and track their keep apprised of their activities.
Representative Garcia-Sander.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm really glad this thing goes up and down. So I think this is a really, really smart amendment because if we would have had this going on 10 years ago, then we would know in Colorado how many wolves there already were. I know that up in Livermore, Red Feather Lakes area, have some neighbors up there, and they've been seeing wolves in Colorado for quite a few years. They wander in, wander out, wander in, wander out from Utah, from Wyoming, from everywhere else. And had we known that the wolf population was naturally repopulating here, we probably wouldn't have had to sell people on bringing wolves into the state, importing them. And so this is actually really smart because this will give us the data that we need to make smart decisions in the future. I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment 44? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the passage of Amendment 44. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it. Amendment 44 fails. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of Amendment 45. Amendment 46. Representative Richardson. Let's go. 46.
I thought I heard 45. I am so sorry. I'm not trying to drag this out at all. I move J154 to Senate Bill 206 and ask that it be properly displayed.
To the amendment.
Thank you. It's a small amendment, small amount of money. Budget dust, probably within the grander scheme of things. It's Colorado couch cushion money. But it does kind of hit at something we talked about earlier. There was an amendment offered to make sure that no money went from the Department of Education to support unions. We discussed the fact that that probably wasn't happening, but within the budget, we do have $50,000 within the Office of Personnel for union stewards. I think with all the money that's gone into Colorado Wins and other programs most lately, that we don't need to put that money there. We just don't. And I would ask for a yes vote on this amendment and eliminate that $50,000. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment 46? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 46. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it. Amendment 46 fails. Next up, Amendment 47. Representative Kelty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pursuant to House Rule 33A, subsection B, I move that the committee consent to the consideration of the following amendment that does not meet the requirements of subsection A of the rule, Amendment J176.
That is a proper motion. Representative Kelty, please explain.
When this amendment was submitted, the drafted amendment was overly broad. This replacement amendment corrects the scope of the to address the desired focus. This replacement amendment is to address one-year expenditures only for new and replacement vehicles.
Members, the question before the committee is consent for Representative Kelty to move an amendment that does not meet the requirements of House Rule 33A. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion passes. Representative Kelty, please proceed with your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, everyone. So going through the long bill, identified an area that came up during the SMART meetings. And in the SMART meetings, it was basically told me that the Department of Personnel needed to purchase a whole bunch of brand new vehicles. And, oh.
Representative Kelty, will you move the amendment?
Sorry, I thought you said to go with it. I'm
Thank
sorry. I apologize. I move SB 206, or J17647A to SB 206 and ask for it to be displayed.
That is a proper motion. Give us a second to display it.
I'm a little punch drunk right now, so a little tired.
So noted.
Uh-oh.
Representative Kelty.
Oh, geez. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So going through, like I stated, going through the logbook, I identified this one area, and during the SMART meetings, we had discussed vehicles being purchased, brand new vehicles being purchased, and it kind of got me, it kind of alarmed me to the fact that I was wondering why these vehicles needed to be purchased, and the individual told me that the vehicles need to be purchased because she said that the vehicles were aging out, and I asked, well, what does that mean? And she said they're between 6 to 10 years old, and that they almost have 100,000 miles on them, and that they're going to need a lot of oil changes. I had a problem with that because I have constituents in my district who have vehicles that are 10, 15 years old. They have 150,000 miles on it or more, and they're having a hard time paying their own electric bills, their feeding their families, affordable housing, everything. But yet I'm asking them to give up their hard-earned money, their hard-earned tax money, so this one department can go ahead and purchase all these brand new vehicles. I believe that when we're in a tight budget crunch, some things you just have to do without. And I believe doing without for 1 year, and mind you, that 1 year will save the state of Colorado $5,697,217 for 1 year of savings. That money going back to the state and not spent means a lot. If we're really truly interested in cutting wherever we can, we should listen to other individuals who have gone through the long book with seriousness, with in their heart, in my heart, to try to help save the state of Colorado money. I truly do. To ask the people of Colorado to pay for brand new vehicles that are not needed, that can wait 1 more year. They can be driven just 1 more year. My last vehicle was almost 12 years old, and I only had to get rid of it because the seats hurt my back after I broke my back. So I'm asking for a yes vote on this, for understanding that this one thing we can cut. Let's save the state of Colorado $5,697,217 and say, you know what, we can do without brand new vehicles for 1 year. That's what I'm asking today. Please say yes on this amendment.
Any further discussion on 47A? Representative Woog.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I feel very good about this amendment. In fact, I did a little research, and it talks about the average lifespan of cars. And obviously, my colleague is asking, the state to wait on purchasing new cars. And I talked to her a little bit before this, and she mentioned that I think you said they tend to trade in or get new vehicles after 100,000 miles. That's pretty common. So I did some research, and it looks like the average in the U.S., the average lifespan is 156,000 miles, and that's by Junk Car Medics. And they analyzed over 50,000 vehicles. So I can't hear myself think. So I just think this is a great amendment. We can stretch this out. It also says Consumer Reports and Automotive Industry Analysis suggests that well-maintained vehicles can average around 200,000 miles before reaching the end of their usable life. And then with great care, a lot of cars even reach 300,000. So this amendment just makes sense to me. If I'm not ready to buy a new vehicle at 100,000 miles because I don't have the money, then I wait and I drive it longer and I try to keep it maintained. So why can't we do that as a state? I know we have great mechanics working on a lot of the state vehicles, and I know they keep up on them. I was also a town trustee in the past, and and saw that the staff does a great job at keeping these vehicles up. So let's stretch it. Let's save some money right now and push that out further and get some extra miles out of these vehicles. So I strongly urge a yes vote.
Members, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 47A. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it. 47A fails. Amendment 48, Representative Sukla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move JL 157, Senate Bill 206, and ask that it be displayed.
It's a proper motion to the amendment.
So mine's a little bit different than the representative from Colorado Springs. I want to talk about this since we're doing the business of the state of Colorado. I would like to talk to it as a wise business decision. What this amendment does is it reduces it by 5%. And the reason why this is so important is this. Every year, we are going to be doing the long bill. And every 10 years, according to the information that we just heard, we are going to have to purchase $30 million more vehicles. So why don't we do this wisely And why don't we cycle the cars? Why don't we buy just so many so that we've always got a new car every year, and then we got ones that are going to be replaced every year? That is the way you should do it. So that's why I believe this is a good amendment, so we're not hit with such a... Plus, if the way things are going, we might be able to buy some Teslas pretty cheap down the road. I would ask for a yes on this amendment.
Representative Kelty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I too am in support, obviously, of this amendment. You know, if we can't save the state, or you don't want to stay, I want to save the state over $5 million. But if you don't want to save the state over $5 million just for 1 year, this is your next best choice. I mean, if you want to show that we are being fiscally responsible, that we're actually caring about the people's money, that they have entrusted in us to spend wisely, then this is the perfect amendment, aside from my last amendment. But this is a great amendment to use to be able to help the people save money within Colorado. We're just, you know, we're doing the best that we can, going through the information that we've been given. And the fact that we were able to identify in the long bill something that could actually benefit the state of Colorado, we present it to you and we ask you to vote yes on it because we truly believe it'll help save. Spending shouldn't be the first option. I tell my kids, you have to save for a rainy day. You have to save your money. Colorado has a saving problem. They have a spending problem. Let's make wise decisions, especially with this here. Let's just show that we can give a little, just a little, to help save money for all Coloradans. And I ask for a yes vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the passage of Amendment 48. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it. Amendment 48 fails. Amendment 49.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move J171 to SB 0206 and ask that it be displayed, and I won't say hellhounds and demon weasels.
To the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This eliminates the general fund appropriation to line items for stationary sources and subdivision of the Department of Public Health and Environment. Like I talked about earlier, we're spending at least $87 million, and that was a partial list on some of these. The emissions that we have, issue with talking to Suncor and looking through their data, their emissions are the same. The emissions are the same whether they're putting out 100,000 barrels per day or zero. So if it's 100,000 barrels a day or zero, has the same emissions, then something else is the problem. And what we have, it's called the sun. The sun starts warming things up in the east. We have an upslope. That upslope starts moving currents of air up into Denver and Colorado Springs. And then then if you have a temperature inversion, you might get the brown haze. If somebody ever says that's ozone, slap the stupid out of them. Because ozone is blue. Ozone is blue. Just remember ozone is blue, but thank you for your attention. So I'm not going to go into how your footprint of 10% of 40 of 0.125 over 3,200 divided by 6 million would be less than 1/2 of one drop in 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools full of drops. But I will ask for a yes on this so we can stop wasting money on absolutely nothing except feeding a climate hysteria for absolutely no purpose.
Is there any further discussion? Members, seeing none, Representative Smith, my apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I don't come to the well very often, but most of you don't know that I'm a PhD scientist, and I measured greenhouse gas emissions for my research. And my husband worked at NOAA, and he worked on low-level ozone. So we talk about air quality quite a bit. This amendment is to completely gut the general fund appropriations from the stationary sources measurement program to the tune of $1.4 million. The JBC is already proposing to cut $0.41 and 19 FTEs. This monitoring program is located within the Air Pollution Quality Division, which is responsible for protecting the health and well-being of all Coloradans by enforcing the state's air pollution laws, many which are mandated by the Federal Clean Air Act. The division work includes developing and enforcing standards from stationary sources, such as factories and power plants. The monitoring provides invaluable data on a variety of pollutants, such as precursors to low-level ozone formation. It's critical that we continue this program in wholesome manner as possible. I'm sure you all know our state has been downgraded to severe non-attainment of the EPA's ozone standard. And consequently, the state requires more stringent standards and permitting efforts. By completely cutting the general fund money, the monitoring program will have to be solely funded by fees, driving up the costs for businesses. Additionally, with fewer FTE, there will be an increase in the permitting backlog, and businesses will have longer wait times to get their permits. Our businesses, our health, and our environment will be losers if this amendment passes, and I urge a no vote.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I do appreciate the climate science aspect of it, and I'm a big fan of climate science, but the basics of climate math in this, for most of this, are that Colorado as a whole could possibly make 0.125 billion tons of CO2. 0.125, if we went net zero, would be the difference. Out of 3,200, carbon dioxide is responsible for less than 10% of the greenhouse gas effect, which is 40 degrees. And so if we went net zero, that would be effectively changing 0.0002 degrees Celsius. Now, if you look at the rain, and I can go over the math with you on this, because that amount of temperature, that amount of energy is globally, if you look at globally how much energy is moved by rain, it moves the hydrocarbon energy in less than 30 seconds every day. So we need to look at the climate math, not just the climate science. The climate science does a really good job of looking at how many angels dance on the head of a pin. The head of that pin does not matter. And the climate math says the carbon dioxide contribution is negligible. If you want to look at pollution, over 70% of our pollution comes from overseas. That was documented because we have these trade winds. The trade winds bring over. What kind of pollutions do the trade winds bring over? They bring the pollution from Asia, China and India, even the sands of the Gobi Desert. They bring those pollutants over to Colorado, because we've shipped our manufacturing over there, because solar panels and windmills are displaced emissions gatherers instead of actual. So I do appreciate the science, but again, the science is very interesting in a very small area of what we're looking at. So this would be something that this is just a 1 year. We would take a 1 year hiatus on this tracking, because we know that, well, the low-level emissions, the attainment, pretty sure that is the VOCs and other organic material that comes up. A lot of it from agriculture. And as far as and I'm pretty sure, I don't remember the numbers exactly, but it was something like 78 down to 70 parts per million or billion, whatever it is, for ozone. So the EPA chopped the air quality standards by 10%. What do you think is going to happen if you cut it by 10%? Your number of days of noncompliance are going to go up. Why did they have to cut it by 10%? They had to cut it by 10% to make sure that the days of non-attainment would go up. So this money is just going into to feeding more superstitions. Yes, we need to track this stuff, but we can take a year off in order to save the budget of Colorado, because overall, we know by now that most of this is organic and due to the sun. So let's look at the climate math instead of counting how many angels dance on the head of the pin.
Representative Kelty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with my colleague, and this is actually a good amendment. If you, one little Google search will tell you Denver, as far as air quality, Denver, moderate. Denver seems to be the problem with Colorado, not the rest of Colorado. You've got Arapahoe area, good. Boulder, good. Longmont, good. You've got Greeley, good. Fort Collins, moderate. Colorado College, downtown, good. Canyon City, good. Pueblo, good. Steamboat Springs, good. Adams State, good. Lamar, good. Grand Junction, good. I mean, like, if there's a problem in Colorado, maybe it's the hot air coming out of Denver, and maybe it's coming out of this Capitol building, but I can tell you what right now, a lot of this stuff is just meant to scare people into wanting to put money into things that they don't really need to do, wasting your money. It's just wasting your money. This is money that we can actually save for the state. If we do have an air quality problem, it's gonna be because of wildfires. It's gonna be because of wildfires, the smoke from wildfires. How about we take this money that we save and somehow put it towards actually the areas that have wildfires? How about we put it towards wildfire mitigation? That would be a better use of this money. I'm asking for a yes vote because we don't have an air quality problem in all of Colorado. We just don't. And we're wasting money yet again. And I ask for a yes vote on this amendment. Thank you very much.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 49. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Noes have it, 49 fails. Amendment 50. Representative Bradley.
Last one. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Christmas came early. This is the last time I'm up here. You're welcome. I move Amendment 50 and ask for it to be displayed.
To the amendment.
This is a great Christmas gift because I'm giving the JBC back $3 million. You're welcome. I'm going to get rid of a very redundant program because there's multiple other programs that take the place of this one. I found this all by myself. You're welcome. Actually, my staff did. The Office of Gun Violence Prevention is a plain and simple redundant program from other state efforts like violence and injury prevention, the Colorado Violent Crime Community Grant Program, and the 988 Lifeline, which is in the BHA. This is also redundant when compared with federally funded support programs, grants and initiatives like the Community Violence Intervention Program, the Burn Justice Assistance Grant Program, and the Burn State Crisis Intervention Program, all of which have awarded Colorado cities, municipalities, and counties, but also directly to private nonprofit programs. You're welcome again. Office of Gun Violence Prevention has had a bad history of inefficiency and delay, taking over 2 years to start awarding grants aimed at reducing gun violence. However, gun violence has not waned. Since its creation, the growth in gun-related deaths has not slowed. It has remained consistent. So does the program think gun violence is a long-term issue and its main focus is on education and grants? But isn't gun violence an epidemic? So why doesn't the Office of Gun Violence Prevention dissolve and allow the Department of Public Safety to give direct awards to private nonprofits that may have an immediate impact? The Office of Gun Violence Prevention is an unneeded and inefficient middleman. Proven programs like Cure Violence have reduced shootings by 30 to 50% per their citations. So the Office of Gun Violence Prevention actually delayed distributing funding to these groups due to slow implementation, missing opportunity as this issue was deemed an epidemic by the left. The estimated $39 million in funding that Prop KK, Majority Leader, excess TICE will be given directly to nonprofits with immediate impact, directly nullifies the need for the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Colorado Republicans warned about bloat and bureaucracy. Today, gun violence has objectively worsened between 2021 and 2023. Gun-related deaths increased from 950 to 1,100. The program's mission has only created an illusion of success, as much of the work is already being done privately and without the red tape. So, JBC, I'm giving you $3 million back to the general fund, as this is a redundant program, and in hopes that we will give it to the Office of Public Safety. I'm not even offering that. I'm giving it to you as a gift from all of the hard work you have done this year and missing out on opportunities with your family in hopes that you will provide more funding to the schools for public safety, because we know our schools want to make them safer. Teachers want our schools to be safer. We don't want any more shootings. We want our schools to have the hardening that they need. We want them to be individualized. We want them to have the necessary components that they need, if that's playground equipment or fencing or whatever that might be. But I didn't even put that in the amendment. I'm just giving you back that $3 million. And how could you possibly say no to that? So I urge a yes on this amendment. You're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Representative Hartsook.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Santa Claus. We appreciate that. The JPC is holding up quite well here. We're all getting late. We appreciate the presence. But in reality, this amendment, I mean, here's a government bureaucratic agency, and if they were measured on their achievements, they would get a failing grade. So it makes perfect sense to pull the money, shut it down, lock, stock, and barrel, and push that money back down to the local communities, the sheriff's office, the SROs, get the folks in the schools, and help the local communities with their security, help them with the school safety, help them with outreach programs, help them at the ground level instead of having a bureaucratic organization sitting up here in the state that sits and twiddles its thumbs and doesn't accomplish anything. Get rid of the agency. Take the money back and push it down to the local level where they actually will do the work. I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Representative Caldwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Office of Gun Violence Prevention, we used to call that the police. I don't know why we need a state office to do this. And look, I've been on judiciary all year. I still don't actually know what they do. The one thing that I've seen that they did was they make a flyer that we then pass a bill that says schools have to hand those flyers out. So I kind of feel like we're paying $3 million for a flyer to force on our kids and scare them. And I agree with my colleague here from Douglas County. Like, if we want to prevent gun violence and shootings and things like that, why don't we take that $3 million, harden our schools, better training for our SROs, maybe more SROs, because not all of our schools have SROs. And in some school districts, we've seen where they've pulled out SROs. And then I'm pretty sure they put them back in because they realized that the good guys with guns is actually pretty important. So, again, I've been there on judiciary for 3 or 4 months. I don't know what they do. I've seen one flyer from them. $3 million, give it back to the JBC, put it in our schools, put it in better police training, better policing, more SROs. That's better spent than whatever they do, because, again, I still don't know, so I support this amendment.
Representative Armagost.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I have seen what they have done, and judiciary and everything that I've seen come from the Office of Gun Violence Prevention has been lobbying anti-gun bills, and those have not had any efficacy inside or outside of this building. The only thing I can see having efficacy is actually creating punishment for criminals that are committing violent crimes, that are committing crimes with firearms, stealing firearms, or otherwise using stolen firearms, anything like that where those violent crimes are originating from. Finding money to fund those, funding the judicial system and funding the criminal justice and corrections system to retain those individuals that commit violent crimes and otherwise use firearms in violent crimes or use firearms in crimes, period. So there's way better ways our general fund can spend money to prevent violence involving firearms rather than funding an office that is lobbying anti-gun policies. I encourage an aye vote on this amendment.
Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment allows us to put our words to actions instead of putting money into yet another government program, Office of Gun Violence Prevention, allows us to utilize that money on the real issues of mental health. We can allocate this money to mental health because that's preventative. Let's address the issue at the core. Let's look at mental health. And, let's put it in public safety. We have that office. They have specialized personnel there that deal with emergency management, state patrol, law enforcement, both at the sheriff's and the police levels. So let's put it there. And they even have an office of school safety within that. So let's utilize the money in a year that we have such a tight budget crunch going on. And instead of putting it towards extra personnel, extra FTE, let's put it into what exists and address the real issue in the state, which is mental health. I urge a yes vote.
Representative Kelty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I too agree with my colleagues and am in support of this amendment. This is a great amendment to move funding from a department that obviously hasn't prevented anything thus far. Year after year, they're given money, and yet still we had, as in my district, Club Q and other areas like Aurora Theater. Obviously, they didn't do their job. They're not preventing anything. We need to give the money to people who actually can prevent this, can prevent crime and shootings. I would also like to note that we could give maybe a third of this money to go towards mental health, to help those with mental illness, because those are really the ones who are doing the shooting. It's not the firearm, it's the individual who's wielding that firearm, the ones who have the mental illness, that we could actually help them. The other third could go towards our local police forces to use to be the actual protectors of the people, because that's their actual job, and they do a great job at it. So let's fund them. Let's fund them more so they can do their job even better. And the last third, how about we put that towards victim groups to help them heal from what this department was supposed to protect them from. We can take this money and we can make it work so much better for Colorado and Coloradans and the Coloradan victims. I know how you're going to vote, and it makes me sad. We're trying to help. Every single one of us that has stood up today has had great ideas on how to help the state of Colorado. We all have our areas of expertise. We were sent here for a reason by the people who voted us in. We're trying to do our job. Please vote yes on this amendment so we can do our job together. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 50. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it. Amendment 50 is lost. Amendment 53, Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So far, we haven't had a whole lot of success with approving amendments that are pretty much statewide. So I have several amendments that deal with my district, and I'm hoping that you will see the benefit of approving these amendments as I bring them forward. Amendment 50, I move Amendment J089 to Senate Bill 2206.
That is a proper motion. Just give us a moment to display it. To the
Okay.
amendment, Representative Bradfield.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment deals with the needed facility for the police of the city of Fountain. Fountain is one of the cities in Colorado that has grown exponentially. I vouch you. Do I want to pay attention? No.
Keep going.
Keep going? Has grown so much and so quickly that the police evidence storage is full, and they're searching for space to store the next couple of years. So this is wanting to get money from the Office of Public Safety to build a new evidence storage facility. I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Taggart.
I thank the representative from El Paso County. Every once in a while, when we sit here for over 12 hours, I have to remind my colleagues that we're conservatives. I don't know where we're going to get this $900,000, Representative Bradfield, but thank you for trying.
Nothing, you know what they say, Michael Jordan says, any shots you don't take. Okay.
Shoot your shot, Representative Bradfield.
Thank you. I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment 53? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 53. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it. Good try, Representative Bradfield. 53 fails. 54, Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move J129 to Senate Bill 206 and ask that it be properly displayed.
That is a proper motion to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this amendment is offering appropriations through the general fund for $200,000 for a 911 call center in Sedwick County through the Department of Public Safety. Sedwick County has a 911 call center, but they are struggling financially to keep this up. I have 7 counties, Sedgwick being the smallest of my counties, but they matter just as much as all my other counties. I want to mention that they are on the borders of Nebraska and Wyoming. And on Nebraska side, when you have a lot of drugs coming in or out, and we have human trafficking, when we're trying to monitor the borders of our state, we need to make sure that they have a strong emergency unit in place. I very much appreciate my sheriffs in that area. I say sheriffs and not police because my county is so small, they don't have police departments in their towns. So they operate with the sheriffs acting as both the sheriffs and the police in that area, and we very much need this 911 call center to ensure that we are keeping our community safe, both in Sedgwick County and across the state, because again, it is on the border, and we are having human trafficking rising. We're having drug coming in that's rising, not to mention those coming in from out of state to get marijuana, and we don't know what's going to happen from there. They're taking it out, so I urge a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 54. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. 54 is lost. Amendment 56, Representative Richardson. There's no. Amendment 55, Representative Kelty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. I'd like to move Amendment J095 to Senate Bill 206 and ask it to be properly displayed.
That's a proper motion to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So tonight it's tonight by now, but we've been here for a very long time, and all day today, I have seen so much money spent on things, in my opinion, that are absolutely unnecessary. Fraud, waste, and abuse is what I would call it, but I'm not sure what you call it. So how about we see how everyone feels about public safety? How about we see the value of safety that we can bring to a community? It's not a lot of money. Again, it's one of the smaller ones today, and I was told that anything under $100,000 is pretty darn good. Well, this is a pretty darn good one because this affects Colorado Springs, a mall in Colorado Springs. It's to enhance the security at the Citadel Mall in Colorado Springs. It's a mall that many people remember from their childhoods. It's a mall that actually, unfortunately, has come into the same demise that the Aurora Mall had come into, but the Aurora Mall has become absolutely amazing. And I would like to make Citadel Mall in Colorado Springs amazing too. This little bit of money here will help with public safety. It'll allow us to be able to bring in different ideas and cameras or whatever they need to use to help make that mall safer for the community. This is not just a mall for just one specific area. This is a mall that Colorado Springs used to enjoy, and people around Colorado Springs in other areas, other counties would come and enjoy as well. It's a reasonable ask to help a community. I've asked for millions of dollars of cuts today. Millions of dollars. And it's been turned down time and time again. The reason I ask for these millions of dollars of cuts because there are so many important things in Colorado, like this amendment, that we actually should care about and that we should do. But we're not. Well, I shouldn't say we, I should say you, because I'm trying. It's a mere pittance in the scope of all the money we've gone through today. For serious needs, not wants, needs that impact a community, an immediate impact. So I'm asking for a yes vote on this small amount of money to help a community feel safer, become safer, and for it to thrive again. I ask for a yes vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 55. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it. Amendment 55 is lost. Amendment 56, Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Amendment J140 to Senate Bill 206 and ask that it be properly displayed.
To the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, we've talked a lot about crime in Colorado on and off today. This amendment pushes some money to the crime victim services. They do extensive work, and the crime victims compensation piece of that is a big part, providing direct compensation to crime-related expenses such as medical and funeral costs through our 23 judicial districts. So they provide advocacy and support, helping victims navigate the criminal justice system, and they require training. They do a lot of collaboration with county. They just do a lot of good things, and shifting this $852,000 will increase their overall budget by about 4.3%. It's not huge, but it's a noticeable difference and a commitment to helping those that have been victims of crime. As a source of that, I'm proposing reducing that amount from CBI. It's a much larger organization. It's a cut of 1.25% from them. It's really a haircut, and actually much less than their vacancy savings throughout the year would be. So it really functionally doesn't impact CBI, but it can make a big difference to victims of crime in our state. So I would ask for a yes vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 56. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it. Amendment 56 is lost. Amendment 57, Representative Clifford. Representative Clifford.
One second, Mr. Chair.
Representative Clifford.
Mr. Chair, I move Amendment J122 to Senate Bill 206 and ask that it be properly displayed.
The amendment is moved and properly displayed. To the amendment.
Thank you. So this amendment is about adding a software that we use in the state for emergency services that allows us to track how we manage hospitalization when we have disasters. So this gets used in what we call blue sky rolls for something like a stroke every day, but the primary purpose of the software is if we have an area, say for instance, that has to get evacuated, and we've got a hospital and 2 nursing homes. This software lets the ambulance companies, the 911 centers, DHSEM, the hospitals see where do we need to move these people. We need these people on this kind of ventilator, we need this people on this kind of bed, et cetera, and it lets us see all of those pieces and then move them at one time. It's probably one of the best things that came out of COVID. This has lived in CDPHE as a test model. That test ends this year. We want this to be under the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management as an ongoing concern. There's more work that they are going to have to do at the JBC. So earlier you heard us talk about the 911 enterprise that there were questions about that we would really like to have even the state's DTR system. This would go under that enterprise that had got created last year. There is no net change to the general fund. This doesn't take money away from anything. This is just moving this to the 911 enterprise. There are still more items that are going to have to be worked out once this gets to JBC, but we would like to get it passed here today.
Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I am honored to join my good colleague here in support of this bill as a co-sponsor on it. We very much to make sure we need to help everyone triage when we're looking at emergency management. We need to make sure we are filling all of the gaps. For some of my counties that are losing 911 centers, this would help with the hospitals and ambulances to be able to communicate with each other. It also allows for us to use the best resources in real time. And when we know every second matters when you're handling an emergency, this is the next tool to do that, and I urge a yes vote.
Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I respectfully ask for a no vote on this amendment. The 911 Services Enterprise Funds are TABOR exempt since they are collected and spent by an enterprise, so reappropriating them to the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management moves them back under the TABOR cap, pushing out $400,000 in budget room. So essentially this is like appropriating $400,000 of general fund. And also we believe the proposed use of funds is not an allowable use of the 911 Services Enterprise under current law.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 57. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Amendment 57 passes. Amendment 58.
Okay, that's awesome. There was just an aye on an amendment. And listen, I have another really good one. You guys are going to love this. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Amendment 58 and ask that it be properly displayed.
Did I get that right? You did. To the amendment.
All right, so how many of y'all remember when we had COVID hit and we didn't have masks and we didn't have gloves and we didn't have Clorox wipes, and so we had to get those things? Some of us that were raised with Depression-era parents, hi Mom, we had our stockpiles of toilet paper and Clorox wipes, so we were good to go on half of that stuff, but what we ended up doing was stockpiling some of that stuff, and so now, 5-6 years later, some of those stockpiles have been replenished, and they've made, some entities have made sure that we keep those gloves and those masks and the hand sanitizer on the shelves, and sometimes that stuff expires, if you didn't know that. And so this amendment, what it does is it shifts away from that stockpiling of the money that goes into the emergency resources. And the reason for this is that it really is an efficient use of taxpayer dollars. PBE stockpiles are often sitting unused for years, leading to expiration and waste. Maintaining stockpiles includes costly storage, rotation, and replacement logistics, a poor return on the investment, right? Funds can be better allocated to programs with more direct, measurable impacts on public health. My caucus over here, psst, zip it, zip it. I'm talking about PPE here. Private sector capabilities are much more set to address the needs in short time. They have proven their ability to rapidly scale PPE production when needed. Investing in supply chain agility and domestic manufacturing capacity is way more efficient than maintaining large government stockpiles. And public-private partnerships can be activated in emergencies without long-term storage costs. That all upticked as soon as COVID hit. There's also redundancy with state and local preparedness, and we need to empower local and regional entities to manage preparedness based on actual risk assessments. We found that what was working on the Front Range was way different than was working in rural areas. The lessons that we learned from COVID-19 are that the 2020 pandemic revealed the limitations on static stockpiles. Items were outdated or mismatched to real-time needs. Real preparedness requires adaptable systems, not hoarded inventory, like what we currently have. Investment should shift toward dynamic supply chain systems, better forecasting tools, and data-driven distribution models. And we really should be looking at better emergency readiness alternatives. Instead of storing PPE, we should be funding rapid procurement systems and contingency contracts with manufacturers. We should establish technology-driven systems for just-in-time delivery, and prioritizing research and innovation in reusable or longer-lasting PPE to reduce the need for massive stockpiles. So in the end, this is a great amendment because it shifts money from what we don't need to things like education, hopefully. I urge an aye on this amendment. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 58. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it. 58 fails. Amendment 60. Representative Barone. Come on down.
My apologies, Mr. Chair. I thought we were on 58 and we move up to 60. I apologize. I was not aware. I move Amendment 60 to SB 206 and ask that it be properly displayed, please.
To the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment here, this amendment aims to reduce the funding footprint of the Department of Revenue. This will streamline current programs to help focus on cross-training and efficiency measures. This FTE reduction does not prevent future growth in the department, but refocuses the efforts on slimming down an impact on taxpayers. Reduces the general fund appropriations to the Department of Revenue for personal services in the Firearms Dealers Division by $700,000 and 10 FTE. I believe this is a good amendment. I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 60. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it. Amendment 60 is lost. 61, Representative Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Forgive my tardiness. I move J153 to Senate Bill 206 and ask it to be properly displayed.
To the amendment.
General fund reduction, Mr. Chair. The Department of Revenue for personal services in the Firearms Dealers Division of $80,000. I know the other one might have been a little bit too brisk for everybody. The number was a little shocking. It's late at night and those big numbers freak people out. So I'm asking for a more modest reduction to the Department of Revenue personnel services for $80,000. The amendment seeks to reduce that expense, limit the cost impact on taxpayers, kind of what we're trying to get at here, reducing the cost impact to taxpayers as the state faces an ongoing budget crunch. We only have a $2.5 million surplus to be able to squeeze everything through that might be coming in. It's vital to add to that number, even $80,000 at a time. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 61. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it. Amendment 61 fails. Amendment 62, Representative Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Go, go, go. I move J172, Senate Bill 206, and ask that it be properly displayed.
To the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Another reduction, this specific to FTE allocation. General Fund appropriation of the Department of Revenue for personal services in the Firearms Dealers Division. The amount total, financial amount, ends up being about $720,000 at 10 FTE. These FTE are not involved, important to note, the full-time equivalents are not involved with the core functions of the department. This amendment maintains the focus and responsibility of the department overall. We're not looking at cutting core function. We're just looking for efficiencies and being able to cut a little bit. Eliminating the FTE, it's okay, I can project. Eliminating the FTE can bring significant and long-term benefits as these cuts encourage the adoption of new efficiency measures. Again, we're asking everybody, every department across the board to maximize their efficiency. That will increase both efficacy and reduce the over expenditures that we're facing. This, strangely, is not a $1.3 million ask, so just get that out of your head. It's completely unrelated to any sort of $1.3 million ask. I just want to make sure, because this is $720,000, completely unrelated, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 62. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Oof, the noes have it. 62 is lost. 63, Representative Sukla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move J146 to Senate Bill 206 and ask that it be displayed.
It's been properly displayed. To the amendment.
Thank you, sir. This is real simple. This is a one-time transfer of fees pulled from the firearm dealers. $70,000 goes to House Bill 251121 for get it started, one-time transfer of fees, and I asked that it be for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 63. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it. 63 fails. Amendment 69, Representative Kelty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move J116 to SB 206 and ask for it to be properly displayed.
To the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is the amendment we've all been waiting for. Big amendment that will make a big cut over something that we don't need right now. When we talk about tightening our belt, this definitely is an amendment that we need to pay attention to. It eliminates the payroll modernization upgrade project for the Department of Personnel in the IT capital section of the long bill. It's just for 2025, 2026, but that one-time holdback is going to save the state of Colorado $13,731,158. That's a chunk of change. It's a chunk of change, the people's money that, yet again, like I've been doing all day long, been trying to save for the state of Colorado. There's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with the current payroll system. Nothing says that it cannot wait 1 year. Again, tighten our belts. Could probably even wait an extra year until we are in a better financial state, which we are not right now. This temporary cut will show Colorado we really care and are fiscally responsible, that we know the hurt across Colorado is real, and we do want to do something about it. I talked to one of the members who was on the board that, or on the task group that went over this. And in his own words, my colleague from Longmont said, it's not a needed system. I asked him, is it needed? Is there a problem? He said it's not needed. He says it's nothing immediate. He says what they're using right now works absolutely fine. It's a want, not a need. He says there's no crashing of the system. He says there's no security vulnerabilities. Again, that it's not actually needed right now. When are we going to start taking things seriously to the financial situation that the state is in right now? Because apparently it's very funny to some people, as I hear lots of laughing and giggles. No one's taking this seriously than the people who have talked today. We're taking it very serious, and it's not funny to me. This is Colorado's money that you're just throwing out the window. And I've had it. I'm done. Colorado is done. Start taking this seriously. Stop wasting their money. Please approve this amendment. $13,731,158. That's how much money we can save right here, right now for Colorado. Let's do that. Let's help save them money. It's not needed. Please vote yes on this amendment. Thank you very much.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I ask for a no vote on this amendment. This appropriation is for a final phase of an IT capital project. The total payroll modernization costs $37.5 million. Eliminating this funding puts the current antiquated system at risk of failing. The state has already made a large investment in this system to help it stand up. So those funds would be at risk of going to waste if we don't fund the final phase. And it would also require opening up co-wins negotiations again, and is also, okay, I ask for a no vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment 69. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. 69 fails. Representative Soper. Representative Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chair, I move L75 and ask that it be properly displayed. Do you want to speak to it? Okay.
Members, if you could quiet down, thank you. This better be funny. Oh, come on. For reals, y'all? Okay. Wise guys. All right, Representative Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Some say a hero should save us. I'm not going to stand here and wait.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment, which I'm very thankful we received late permission to be able to introduce, we figured that we'll take this opportunity to license circus clowns. More specifically, those clowns who are making $43,977 per year. We're talking about those circus clowns who work closely with lobbyists, who work closely with special interests, including the person on the first floor, who may interact with the Unicycle Association, or the Mile High Classroom Meme Association, or the trapeze artists, and have been known to do contortions to save a bill.
Representative Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As we end our night, there is a serious issue that needs to be taken care of, and I want this body to take what is happening to clowns seriously.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment 75? Representative Lindstedt. Representative Lindstedt. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to say we need more cowbells.
Representative Lindstedt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We withdraw this amendment.
Yeah, the chair is about to rule it outside the title. Madam Majority Leader. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I remembered I was supposed to call division, but actually would like to withdraw it instead.
Tremendous. Madam Majority Leader. Oh, seriously? All right. All in favor of Amendment 75, say aye. Oh, that's withdrawn. Oh, as amended? Yeah, okay. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 206? Seeing none. Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 206 as amended. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Senate Bill 206 as amended is passed. You have a budget. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You've heard the motion. The committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Schiebel, please read the... Everyone, God bless Mr. Schiebel. Mr. Schiebel, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report as under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof and making the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bills 206 is amended, 207, 208, 209, 210, 211, 212 is amended, 213, 214 is amended, 215, 216, 217, 218, 219, 220, 221, 222, 223, 224, 225, 226 is amended, 227, 228 is amended, 229 is amended, 230, 231, 232, 233, 234, 235, 236, 237, 238, 239, 240, 241, 242, 243, 244, 245, 246, 247, 248, 249, 250, 251, 252, 253, 254 is amended, 255, 256, 257 is amended, 258 is amended, 259, 260, 261 is amended, 262 is amended, 263, 264, 265, 266, 267, 268 is amended, 269, and 270 is amended, passed on second reading. Order engrossed and placed on calendar for third and final passage. House Bill 1321 laid over until April 14th, 2025.
Representative Woodrow. Members, you've heard the motion, and surprise, surprise, we have a few amendments. Oh, no. Members, I will ask that because we have a stack here, please make sure that you move the amendment with your name, that you do ask that it be moved to the Committee of the Whole report, not just the Committee of the Whole, and that you ask for it to be properly displayed. Okay. Mr. Schiebel, please read the Armagost Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report, Senate Bill 206, the J112 Amendment.
Representative Armagost moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to reverse action taken by the committee in adopting the following Espinoza Amendment J112, Amendment 27 to Senate Bill 206 to show that said amendment lost and that Senate Bill 206 is amended passed.
Representative Armagost.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the Armagost Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report and ask that it be properly displayed.
Thank you. Perfect example. One moment. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, again, this is just an issue to me because we have two great organizations that we're moving funds from and to, but if there would have been further communication, I think I could be behind this. It's just the fact that there is money coming from a very important resource of auto theft prevention in such a crisis that we're in this state. It is on the improvement because of the fact that we started the task force and the addressing the issue of auto theft, but since we are still the fourth worst state in the nation in auto theft, I think we need to keep the money where it's going and not put it to any other entity, not transferring from the auto theft prevention. So I encourage an aye vote. Thank you.
Representative Espinoza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to remind you this is a traditional bipartisan amendment. This amendment is for children. This amendment recognizes Representative Grampus, Tony Grampus. This amendment is for programs that serve every one of your districts. I know that auto theft is an issue. I continue to see it, but we know that auto thefts are down in this state. We also know that the program has been established. And so unlike previous years where they needed more funds for administration, in talking to public safety, they understand that they hope that the JBC will do its job and strip it out, but they also understand that they can absorb some of this loss if in fact we do end up getting the money from JBC when they go to conference on this, because they understand preventing children from going down the wrong path at the front end, the upstream stopping of crime, is very important. And if we do that, even for 3 children through this allocation of money, we've more than made up from what it might happen down the road if they go down the path of becoming an auto theft individual. And so I would ask you to please vote yes, vote no on this amendment, and then vote yes on the cow. Thank you.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Sounds like a great program. I think it's one we ought to support, but again, we ought to prioritize our priorities. And I've got $87 million worth of here that are doing absolutely nothing for the state. And I think we should probably take money from doing nothing from the state except chasing business out and actually funding these kids, and then keeping this so that keeping the money in the car account so we can stop losing our autos to the climate goals.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of the Armagost Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Morrow, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Morrow votes no. Representative Foray, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Foray votes no. Representative Weinberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Weinberg votes yes. Please close the machine. With 23 aye, 40 no, and 2 excused, the amendment is lost. Mr. Schiebel, please read the DeGraff Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. This is Amendment J126, or Amendment number 41.
Representative DeGraff moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to reverse action taken by the committee and not adopting the following DeGraff Amendment, J126, Amendment 41 to Senate Bill 206, to show that said amendment passed and that Senate Bill 206 is amended passed.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the DeGraff Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report and ask that it be displayed.
Please proceed.
All right, just want to make sure I have the right one since I have a whole herd of cows. So it is the General Assembly's intent that the general fund appropriations made to the Legislative Department not be used to invalidate the taxpayer Bill of Rights. So the taxpayers put it on the ballot, in the Constitution. The taxpayers should be the ones that take it out of the Constitution. And the fact that you're pretty convinced that they're not willing to take it out of the Constitution shows that we the people are probably not thrilled about you using their money to sue them, to tax them more. So I recommend an aye vote on this, so we shut this down.
Representative Camacho.
Thank you, Madam Speakers and colleagues. I rise to respectfully ask you for a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of the first DeGraff Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Morrow, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Morrow votes no. Representative Foray, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Foray votes no. Representative Weinberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Weinberg votes yes. Smith? Mabry is excused with a $10 fine. Please close the machine. With 22 aye, 40 no, and 3 excused, the amendment is lost. Mr. Schiebel, please read the second DeGraff Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report, Senate Bill 206, Amendment J158, Amendment 38.
Representative DeGraff moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to reverse action taken by the committee and not adopting the following DeGraff Amendment, J158, Amendment 38 to Senate Bill 206, to show that Senate Amendment passed, that Senate Bill 206 is amended passed.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the DeGraff Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report and ask that it be displayed.
It is properly displayed. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is, it is the General Assembly's intent that beginning with the fiscal year 2026-27 budget process, the state adopt a zero-based budgeting process for the state budget so we can get into the weeds along with JBC. Why should they have all the fun? And be able to root out some of these programs that do not reflect the legislative priorities, but are just continuations in the budget, and like this $87 million that's going to the renewable energy programs.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I respectfully request a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of the second DeGraff amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Morrow, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Morrow votes no. Representative Foray, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Foray votes no. Representative Weinberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Weinberg votes yes. AML Winter. Please close the machine. With 20 aye, 43 no, and 2 excused, the amendment is lost. Mr. Shebel, please read the third DeGraff amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Senate Bill 206, Amendment J163, Amendment 39.
Representative DeGraff moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in not adopting the following DeGraff Amendment, J163, Amendment 39 to Senate Bill 206 to show that said amendment passed, that Senate Bill 206 is amended passed.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the DeGraff Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report and ask that it be properly displayed.
One moment, please. Almost. There we go.
I can't say hell.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is just for the JBC to provide legislative recommendations to the General Assembly regarding the implementation of a zero-based budgeting process for the state. So this would allow them to, would be a request for them to tell us how we could do that so we could start getting into these funding priorities, so we could start rooting out things like this $87 million that's going to absolutely no good use.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, once again, I respectfully request a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of the third DeGraff Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Morrow, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Morrow votes no. Representative Foray, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Foray votes no. Representative Weinberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Weinberg votes yes. Please close the machine. With 20 aye, 43 no, and 2 excused, the amendment is lost. Mr. Shebel, please read the fourth DeGraff Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report, Senate Bill 206, J171, Amendment 49.
Representative DeGraff moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in not adopting the following DeGraff Amendment, J171, Amendment 49 to Senate Bill 206 to show that said amendment passed and that Senate Bill 206 as amended passed.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the DeGraff Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report and ask that it be properly displayed.
It is properly displayed. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is just another lot of money that's spent on chasing businesses out of Colorado. We know they're having a hard time in Colorado, and they continue struggling under these programs. This is mainly directed at Suncor, and when talking to them, we're looking at the emissions data, that their emissions data for these are the same whether they're chugging out 0 or 100,000 barrels per day. So I think at this point we can say that it's de minimis difference and call it a day, and maybe start taking some of these shackles off of the businesses of Colorado. So I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, once again, I ask for a no vote.
The motion before us is the adoption of the fourth DeGraff Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Morrow, how would you like to vote?
No.
Representative Morrow votes no. Representative Foray, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Foray votes no. Representative Weinberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Weinberg votes yes. Garcia and Ricks. Please close the machine. With 19 aye, 44 no, and 2 excused, the amendment is lost. Mr. Schiebel, please read the Luck Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report, Senate Bill 206, Amendment J121, or Amendment number 1.
Representative Luck moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to reverse action taken by the committee in adopting the following Puglisi Amendment, J121, Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 206, to show that said amendment lost and that Senate Bill 206 is amended passed.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the Luck Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report and ask that it be displayed
Thank you.
so I can read it.
It is properly displayed. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So this restores Senate Amendment J059-004, which reduces the appropriation for the Recreation Subprogram, the Department of Corrections General Fund, reappropriated funds in the Department of Higher Education with a footnote specifying that this will go to the UCCS allocation national cybersecurity. So it reduces the outdoor rec for our Department of Corrections by a very small percent, and then it puts this money into a very necessary program. We've got a lot of cyber that's going on in Colorado, and if we're gonna have the people that are, in order to have the jobs to avoid that life of crime and end up having, so they don't have to play basketball in the Department of Corrections, it would be great if they had a job. For that, they need the skills, they need the training, and this money would get that. So this money is about crime prevention to make sure our cyber security type people don't lapse into a life of crime.
Minority Leader Puglisi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just for clarification, this amendment passed. And this motion, with all due respect for my colleague from Fremont County, reverses that. We, as a body, decided that we wanted to fund the cybersecurity program with UCCS, and so I would ask for a no vote on this amendment. I think she's trying to reverse it.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So as a defender of the budget that we brought before you, I find myself supporting this Cow amendment. The national cybersecurity, I'll just remind you of the talking points. I know there's some confusion here, but
Yeah, members, ask for everyone to be quiet at the moment. Representative Byrd, please proceed.
So this is restoring the long bill to the version with respect to this request that we brought before you. And I'm going to reiterate the points that I made to you when I asked you to vote against it in the first place. So the National Cybersecurity Center is one of the nonprofit entities that works with UCCS to provide cybersecurity education. However, it is not a state program, board, commission, or enterprise. Also, the state does not have oversight into the practices of the National Cybersecurity Center. They do not provide any annual reports or budgets. The JBC voted to reduce funding for Senate Bill 18086, cyber coding cryptology for state records. The funding was reduced but not eliminated to ensure that there is still funding for cyber coding and cryptology in the state. DOC's recreation program, where this is drawing funds from, the DOC recreation subprogram supports inmate recreation activities, but most of the appropriations go to FTE. Less than 0.1 million of this program's appropriation funds operating expenses. So I am in support of the Cow amendment as presented.
Representative DeGraff.
Madam Speaker, I would like to withdraw this amendment.
The amendment is withdrawn. Mr. Schiebel, please read the Soper and Sukla amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. We'll go with Soper on that. Senate Bill 206, J143, Amendment 44. Representative Soper. Soper.
Merci, Madam
Sukla.
Speaker.
Sorry, Mr. Schiebel has to read it first.
Representative Soper and Sukla move to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee and not adopting the following DeGraff Amendment, J143 Amendment 44 to Senate Bill 206 to show that Senate Amendment passed, that Senate Bill 206 is amended passed.
Representative Soper.
Merci, Madam Speaker. I move the Soper and Sukla amendment to the Committee of the Whole report and ask that it be properly displayed.
It is properly displayed. Please proceed. Representative Sukla.
Shukla. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Why not? Why not?
Why not?
This is just transparency. At our SMART hearings, where the Department of Natural Resources will give us an update on the WIF locations at our annual SMART Act hearings.
Representative Soper.
Merci, Madam Speaker. We ask for a we vote.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I request a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of the Soper and Shukla amendment. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Morrow, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Morrow votes no. Representative Ferre, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Ferre votes no. Representative Weinberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Weinberg votes yes. Representative Smith. Please close the machine. With 24 aye, 39 no, and 2 excused, the amendment is lost. Mr. Schiebel, please read the winter amendment to the Committee of the Whole report, Senate Bill 206, J164, Amendment Number 4.
Representative Winter T moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee and not adopting the following winter amendment, 164 Amendment 4 to Senate Bill 206 to show that Senate Amendment passed, that Senate Bill 206 is amended passed.
AML Winter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to move the Representative Winter amendment to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole report. Sorry, I messed that up. And properly be displayed.
All good. It is properly displayed. Please proceed.
Members, like I said, we had the Arkansas Valley Regional Health Center had to shut down their OB ward. This is a tough one. I've had tons of people from that community, and not only that community, but all the little satellite communities around it, their mayors, city councilmen, county commissioners, they've reached out and they've asked for some help. I know we're in a tight budget year, but we talk about healthcare deserts all the time. This is a maternity desert. There are women that could have to drive a couple hours to try to have a baby. Like I said before, having to take an ambulance isn't cheap. Having to take a flight would probably break a new starting family. So I know we're in tough fiscal times, but I would please ask my colleagues to vote with me along on this and give me a yes vote.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Once again, I ask for a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is to adopt the winter amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Ferre, how do you vote?
Unfortunately, no.
Representative Ferre votes no. Representative Weinberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Weinberg votes yes. Representative Morrow, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Morrow votes no. Please close the machine. Whoops. Members, the machine is closed. The votes cast, 29 aye, 33 no, 2 excused, and 1 absent. The amendment is lost. Members, be sure that you push your buttons and then release. If you hold the button for too long, it will erase your vote. Mr. Schiebel, please read the Byrd Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report, Senate Bill 229.
Representative Byrd moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to oversee action taken by the committee in adopting the following Byrd Amendment L3 to Senate Bill 229 to show that said amendment lost and that Senate Bill 229 as amended passed.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, members, I am cowing my own amendment. So the amendment that we ran on second reading amended Senate Bill 229, the Senate version, not the House version that we had. So the amendment now doesn't make any sense. So I am asking you to please support this particular cow amendment so now our bill can make sense again.
Representative Byrd, can you move it, please?
And yes, I move the Byrd Amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole.
And ask that it be properly displayed.
And ask that it be properly displayed. You can
Thank
tell
you.
I'm not in practice.
It is properly displayed. AML Winter.
Very seldom the shoe is on the other foot in here, and just in honor of all the no's you gave us, I urge a no vote.
The question before us is the adoption of the Byrd Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Ferre, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ferre votes yes. Representative Weinberg, how do you vote?
Nope.
Representative Weinberg votes no. Representative Morrow, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Morrow votes yes. Please close the machine. With 45 aye, 18 no, 2 excused, the amendment is adopted. Mr. Schiebel, please read the Johnson Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report, Senate Bill 237.
Representative Johnson moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to oversee action taken by the committee in adopting Senate Bill 237 to show that Senate Bill 237 lost.
Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the Johnson Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report and ask that it be properly displayed.
It is properly displayed. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So this amendment, as I went around and explained to all of you, is taking away our rural behavioral health voucher program, which is crucial to our areas. And we need to vote yes on this so that way we can reinstate that program. We rely on this in rural Colorado. We have a mental health stigma. We need these vouchers for our telehealth systems because it is hard for your pickup or any vehicle to be sitting in that center, and we need them when they're in a crucial moment to have that access. I very much appreciate the funds that JBC has offered. The issue is they're for pre-existing conditions, and when you're in a mental health crisis or you're trying to avoid the stigma, that really doesn't help, and that deters people from seeking help. We can pull funds. I've done a lot of research and make sure we still balance the budget either through the Rural Health Fund. So we're asking Rural Health to foot the bill for rural health. There's also the Mental Health Community Fund seen by the BHA that received $30,063,993. Not a math, saying that on the mic when we're this tired, but if we take 50,000 from that, they're still keeping over $30 million, and we're just asking that we can be at the table for this. I urge a yes vote, please.
AML Winter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and if you'll just let me get to where I'm going to get. A lot of times over the last couple years, when we've got into the gun debate, we've always brought up mental health, and a lot of my colleagues have said, don't forget when we do things for mental health that we want your votes on mental health. Well, this is one of those times. We talk about mental health all the time, and I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, help rural Colorado, vote yes for mental health.
Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I will ask for a no vote on this amendment and just let you understand what the consequences of killing the bill would be. And I also just want to share that The program that would be repealed in Senate Bill 237 does overlap with other existing resources in the BHA and the Department of Agriculture. And the reason that we are repealing this is because it was deemed that this program is not sufficiently funded to be able to actually provide meaningful services across all rural areas of the state. But the long bill, Senate Bill 206, does include an appropriation of $6.5 million for rural treatment programs for people with co-occurring disorders in the BHA. And also, there are several resources provided in the BHA and the Department of Agriculture, including over $130,000 for rural behavioral health care, $33,000 to the BHA to train providers to serve farmers, ranchers, and other agricultural industry workers and their families, $32,000 for an agricultural behavioral health community of practice working group, $518,000 for an agricultural behavioral health grant program, and $7,400 for an annual agricultural behavioral health conference. So there are resources that are going to support these services more broadly across the state. And so if you kill this bill, this is essentially your choice in how you would spend the legislative set-aside.
AML Winter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate all the work that you've done on that. I've talked to the Farm Bureau and others, and these vouchers are working. There's no trail with this voucher. And my first year here, I talked about some of the mental health issues that we face in rural Colorado. And the thing about this voucher is a lot of my constituents are tough, hard people, and they never want to be seen at a clinic. A lot of them, they don't even have a smartphone to be able to do telehealth. And to be able to pick a voucher up and go somewhere and not have it attached to you, to me, is more important than anything, because it might just be that one person. In probably 2004, a good friend of mine, when the cattle market was down, his dad was having problems, and he tried to convince his dad to go get help. So one day they sold some cattle, didn't make a bunch of money. His dad went and ate breakfast and went upstairs and shot himself. Those are the type of people that this helps. That's what this program's for. $50,000 with all the money that we spend in this building. $50,000? Bridge the rural-urban divide. $50,000 with the money that we spend in this building. I urge a yes.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of the Johnson Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Ferre, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ferre votes yes. Representative Weinberg, how do you vote?
Absolutely yes.
Representative Weinberg votes yes. Representative Morrow, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Morrow votes yes. Lindsay. Rep. Lindsay. Please close the machine. With 53 aye, 10 no, and 2 excused, the amendment is adopted. Mr. Schiebel, please read the second winter amendment to the Committee of the Whole report, Senate Bill 256.
Representative Winter moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee and not adopting the following winter amendment L1 to Senate Bill 256 to show that said amendment passed and that Senate Bill 256 is amended passed.
AML Winter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to, the winter amendment, move it to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee and ask that it be properly displayed.
I'll have you just restate that with an I move the winter amendment.
I move the winter amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole and ask that it properly be displayed.
Thank you. It is properly displayed. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First and foremost, I want to tell you that my heart's really big and I appreciate all my colleagues. It's important to me, so thank you. What we're talking about here is we all know that digital trunk radio is important for all parts of this state. I don't have an issue with that, and I want to make it clear I don't have an issue with it at all. My issue is that we constantly drain severance tax money as we go after the industry that provides it for us. That's a tough one for me. It's, like I said, I watch good blue-collar jobs leave my district. I watch tax revenue leave. Believe it or not, our roads are worse than the states. Schools, we need money for schools, hospitals, and as we watch those dollars dwindle away, based on legislation in the building, it's just hard to see money taken from something when it's needed, but the industry's not needed, so I urge an aye vote.
AML. Sorry. Assistant Minority Leader Puglisi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I actually think that's a
Minority
higher
Leader.
title than mine, so I might take it. I know I've spoken very passionately, and you've heard me. I will never support the sweeping of severance tax. I believe the trunk program is important. The radios are important. I agree 100%. I think we can find the money in other places, but sweeping severance tax that's supposed to go to water projects, infrastructure projects in the areas in which oil and gas production is actually taking place is not the way to make up that $15 million. I know there are some very good people who have worked on this, and I have a great deal of respect for all the JBC members and the work that they've done. But at the same time, I never have, and I never will support the sweeping of severance tax. Thank you.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I know there are a lot of concerns expressed by our good colleagues about this, but just to be clear that if we aren't funding this, this gets more expensive next year. And this is funding the interoperability of radios so that first responders across local governments and amongst one another can talk to each other. This is a service that benefits local governments, and this is an appropriate funding source. JBC spent a long time talking about this, attempting to consider all kinds of different funding sources. This is the source that made the most sense, and it's a reliable, sustainable source of funding. We ask for a no vote on the cow.
Representative Clifford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I listened to every word of the JVC's work on this particular endeavor, and I have to say that I heard some spicy conversations, some lamenting conversations, and I agree with where you landed, not because of where it comes from. I think we all agree that we would like to see this money come from someplace else, and I heard the work that it took them to get there and where they landed. So I want to let you know that. And it's not just public safety. These are the radios on your kid's school bus. These are the radios that work when there's smoke and cloud cover and heavy fog and snow. These are the radios where if 5 towers get knocked down, we can still speak to each other. It's not something that we can put off. It's something we have to fund. I know that this was hard work for you too. I appreciate the work you did. I don't think anybody liked where it landed, and it's got to go this way. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of the second winter amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Foray, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Foray votes no. Representative Weinberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Weinberg votes yes. Representative Morrow, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Morrow votes no. Please close the machine. With 19 aye, 44 no, and 2 excused, the amendment is lost. Mr. Schiebel, please read the Armagost Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report, Senate Bill 268.
Representative Armagost moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to section taken by the committee in adopting the following Linstead Amendment L5 to Senate Bill 268 to show that said amendment lost, that the Appropriations Committee report to Senate Bill 268 dated April 8, 2025 passed, and that Senate Bill 268 is amended passed.
Representative Armagost.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the Armagost Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report and ask it to be properly displayed.
It is properly displayed. Please proceed.
Thank you. So again, colleagues, we have something that was fixed in the House in appropriations from the Senate. We fixed it to make the money go where it can be better utilized instead of going into a program that is oversaturated market, that is fractured so much that the funding isn't getting to be appropriately utilized to the best efficiency possible. I think putting it back where appropriations decided to put it and reversing the action was the best way we can utilize that money, not putting it in a program that it won't be utilized the way that it should be and could be. So this will keep the action that was determined to be in appropriations, and obviously saying that the amendment to overturn that here be voted down. So I encourage a yes vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Lindstedt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I urge a no vote on this amendment. You know, I think it's incredibly fair that the businesses that actually pay the tax revenue into this cash fund benefit in some way from this cash fund. So I urge a no vote so that we can continue supporting those businesses that receive this assistance from that cash fund.
Assistant Majority Leader Bacon.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank my colleague from Broomfield for your words. Members, this was one of the two amendments that were important to the Black Caucus. The first was Tony Gramsus, and now this. Thank you for receiving our letter. In addition to what our colleague just shared, the beneficiaries of this grant program and this technical assistance go farther than just the Denver metro area. Rural communities have also benefited from this. What you heard is that over the last 10 years, a commitment has been made to be able to support businesses through the Economic Development Office to be able to navigate how to not only start but to operate. We have been, for many of you who've been here for quite some time, we've been running a social equity bill to ensure that smaller communities, disenfranchised communities also have the support to be able to enter this business. And so members, respectfully, we ask for a no on this. Please support us being able to go to the JBC members to talk about if we can actually find the dollars from the the marijuana cash tax fund, excuse me, the marijuana MCT, okay, that one, that we be able to look at the projections. We believe, along with OEDIT, that there may be an opportunity to continue to fund this office. So again, members, thank you for your support as we were whipping votes. We urge a no vote.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I, in my role as defender of the budget and wanting to restore what we originally brought to you, I rise in support of this cow amendment. The challenge that we're having, there are so many meritorious draws on the marijuana tax cash fund. The challenge we have is that the fund is oversubscribed. So this is another one of those funds that we have that JBC spent quite a bit of time trying to manage, and that is the point of this bill, where we are reducing draws and spends from this bill. So for that reason, I urge a yes vote on this cow amendment.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of the Armagost Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Ferre, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Ferre votes no. Representative Weinberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Weinberg votes yes. Representative Morrow, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Morrow votes no. Please close the machine. With 26 aye, 37 no, and 2 excused, the amendment is lost. Mr. Schiebel, the motion before us is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Ferre, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ferre votes yes. Representative Morrow, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Morrow votes yes. Representative Weinberg, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Weinberg votes no. Please close the machine. With 45 aye, 18 no, and 2 excused, the report is adopted. Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to lay over the balance of the calendar till tomorrow, April 10th, 2025.
Seeing no objection, the balance of the calendar will be laid over until tomorrow, April 10th. Announcements, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House stand in adjournment.
I have some business to do. I thought you might have an announcement about the time tomorrow.
Yes, members, a reminder, we are starting at 8 o'clock tomorrow. 8 o'clock sharp, not 8:10, not 8:15, 8.
8 a.m. Awesome. Announcements. Representative Story.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Tomorrow morning, CDC will be meeting in Senate Committee Room 357 at 7:40. Bring your toothpicks for your eyes.
Members, I have some business to attend to. You are free to leave. Mr. Schiebel, conference committee reports.
First report of First Conference Committee on House Bill 1056. This report amends the re-revised bill to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Conference committee reports will be printed in the journal. Signing of bills, resolutions, memorials. Reports of committees of reference. Mr. Schiebel.
Committee on Finance, after consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bills 1214 as amended, 1268 as amended, 1292 as amended, and 1302 as amended, and 1303 as amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations. House Joint Resolution 1023 be amended as followed and also amended be referred to the House for final action, and House Bill 1262 be postponed indefinitely. Committee on Health and Human Services, after consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1146 be amended as followed and also amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations. House Bill 1316, 1317, Senate Bills 152 as amended, 164, and 166 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Committee on Judiciary, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1171 be amended as followed and also amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations. House Bill 1304 be amended as followed and also amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. House Bills 1067 and 1276 be postponed indefinitely. Committee on Transportation, Housing, and Local Government, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 2 as amended, 175, and 184 as amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation.
Signing of bills, resolutions, and memorials.
The Speaker has signed.
Signing of bills, resolutions, and memorials will be printed in the journal. Delivery of bills to the governor.
The Chief Clerk of the House
Delivery
of
of bills to the
Representatives.
governor will be printed in the journal. Message from the Senate.
Madam Speaker, the
Message
Senate,
from the Senate will be printed in the journal. Message from the reviser.
we herewith transmit.
Message from the reviser will be printed in the journal. Message from the governor.
Honorable members of
Message
the
from the
Colorado House.
governor will be buried in the journal. Introduction of bills.
House Bill 1327 by Representatives Sirota and Froelich, also Senator Kipp, concerning modifications to processes for statewide ballot measures.
House Bill 1327 will be assigned to the Committee on State, Civic, Military, and Veterans Affairs.
House Bill 1328 by Representatives Duran and Sirota, also Senators Danielson and Bridges, concerning the implementation of the recommendations made by the Direct Care Workforce Stabilization Board.
House Bill 1328 will be assigned to the Committee on Health and Human Services. Madam Majority Leader. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House stand in adjournment until Thursday, April 10th at 8 a.m.
The House is adjourned until tomorrow, April 10th at 8 a.m.